Welcome to Daniel Reviews. I'm Daniel Goodwin, and today we are looking at the Ryobi Rotary Toolkit. Let's get into it. Okay, I've made it clear over I don't know how many videos. I'm not a big fan of Ryobi, but I will give this to them. They are the most innovative of all the tool manufacturers. They come out with more tools, unique tools, specialty tools, than any of the other lines by far. More than Milwaukee, certainly more than Makita, more than DeWalt. They just come out with anything. They're just like, let's try it. Garage door opener, they've got one. Let's try it with a battery. Why not? So I give them points for innovation, and I will give them points that their product quality has definitely improved over the last 15 years, significantly. So I'm not by any means changing my overall opinion of Ryobi. It's not a line I'd recommend for anyone who wants to do serious work, but there are some specialty tools that just no one else makes, and it's kind of worth digging in to see how Ryobi does with those. And that's the case with this one. Let's get into it. All right, this is what you get. This is a separate accessories kit that I purchased, so I do want to be clear. This does not come with the unit itself. This was an additional one that I picked up for just a few bucks. But what you get is a extensive looking manual. You get the base unit itself with a very small pin kind of piece there. You get a charger. You get a battery, which honestly I wasn't expecting the charger and battery. For some reason I was thinking it was just this kit because they're so affordable. So I definitely wasn't expecting to get a charger and battery, which is great. I probably will use it maybe, but I do have a Makita to Ryobi adapter, so I wouldn't necessarily need to use it. But since I've got it, I probably will use it. And then you got a lot of odds and bobs here, odds and ends and bits and bobs, that's what I'm trying to say, that you can use with the unit. So it's basically a Dremel tool, but the nice thing is the really tiny small form factor, which is great when you're working with fine detail. So I plugged it in and it is now charging, and probably in a little bit, maybe 30 minutes, should be fully charged. It's only a 2.5 amp hour battery. So one of the benefits is that with this small cord and battery pack, you don't have to have nearly this larger size that you would have with like a typical Dremel tool. Now the question is whether it'll have the kind of power that you get with a Dremel tool. That'll be an interesting question to see. For comparison, I have my Milwaukee 12-volt Dremel, which honestly is one of the lightest Dremels and smallest Dremels that I've used. And there's just no comparison in terms of size. Like, it's just night and day, because obviously this has to pack a power source. This one has the cord and external power source, so it's just that much easier to work with. And then we're going to have to see, as terms of power and speed and everything, how it performs. Just for weight comparison, I'm going to weigh my Milwaukee Dremel tool, the 12-volt, and compare it to the Ryobi. And sitting at about 1.358 pounds. Not bad. Definitely very wieldable. But compared to the Ryobi with, of course, the cord, it's about 0.32 pounds. So huge difference there. Okay, hopefully I can demo this, but the tool change is actually pretty handy and pretty easy. Tool tip change. So there's this little lever here that you just press down on, and then you just take it and you start twisting counterclockwise to loosen up. Well, if I can get this right, it does. There we go. I feel it loosening up like that. Then you can slide this out. You can take whatever other tool you want to put on there, perhaps this little wire brush, and then you just press down again, start tightening it up. It's going to spin until you start to feel it click. Yep, and that's tight. So pretty cool, fairly easy to make changes with it. it does kind of like, you think you loosened it up once and then you kind of have to do it again. That's kind of just a little something to get used to, but otherwise it's pretty relatively easy. So that's great. In terms of controls, you've got your speed here. It's just a dial. You go 1 to 5, assuming 1 is slowest, 5 is fastest. Then of course you got a power button here to turn it on. This unit comes with a handy little container to hold all your bits and bobs, and then of course it clamps onto the battery. So handy stuff there. It does come with a wrench. I'm sure if you needed to do that on the bit here, you could do that. I'm hoping I will not need to use that, but it's there if I do. It really comes with some interesting pieces that I like. I think so. I got this to work on my 3D models to clean them up, and I'm hopeful that this will be useful for that purpose. Okay, I haven't fully charged up the battery, but it's more than enough to turn it on and do a little bit of light testing. I think it should be as simple as, there we go. It's running. This is at 5. This is at, yeah, the fastest speed. This is at 1, 2, 3. So not overly loud, pretty quiet really, in comparison. And at 1, you can almost barely hear it moving. I've got some parts that I 3D printed here that I'm going to break off the supports. It's just a little mag follower that I printed. And I'm going to break off the supports, and then we'll probably have to do a little bit of cleanup on it. Which is, you know, what I was thinking in my head that this tool might be really good for. You got to be careful though, because a lot of times rotary tools will just kind of melt 3D printed parts. So I'm not certain that that's going to work out great for this, but we're going to try it. Okay, the good thing is the supports on this one cleaned up pretty well on their own. I was able to just rip those out. Hopefully this will focus though. You can see if that focuses. There we go. It's not very clean on the bottom, and that's not uncommon on a printed part. This looks pretty good, but this doesn't. So we're going to try to use the tool just to clean up some of the loose parts and see what happens. I'm going at the lowest speed at the moment. And I got this fine metal tip on there because I just want to grind it down just a little bit. I don't want to sand it. That's already making a difference. Let's see. I'm going to inch it up just a little bit. Honestly, it was doing a pretty good job on its own. That's, whoops, okay, well that's not good. But honestly, it's cleaning up quite well. Kind of a slightly different angle, but hopefully this will show. If not, I'll try to show it afterwards. But we're just going to try to clean up in this little interior part here. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. So that just cleaned that up really, really well, comparatively. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed and wanted. I like that this doesn't just melt the plastic. It does a good job of actually grinding it at the right speed that it takes a little bit off. Okay. So that cleaned that up really, really well. I'll try to show another one because I've printed several of these. So this again is pretty clean, and that's just me removing with my fingers. But it's pretty clean. There's definitely some things here that, again, I hope the camera is showing detail that is not very good. Compare that to this one, and you can see it just cleaned it up a little bit everywhere. Some like loose filament on this one. I could spend more time cleaning this one up, but it just really smoothed this in here, you know, whereas in this one's got some, again, filament from the support still hanging in there. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Comparatively to my Milwaukee at 2 versus the 2 of this is much quieter. Now this goes all the way up to a 6, and you can hear that. It's like a jet engine. It is just howling and a lot of noise, a lot of whistles. So that's quite loud versus this one, which has been running. And even at 5, it's got a pretty loud howl, but it's not crazy. Now, I'm sure this one has more power behind it, but I'm not sure I need it because I use it for pretty small things, hobby things like this, and I just don't think I'm going to need that kind of power for a little Dremel tool. The other little cool thing this thing does is you got a little holder. So the whole thing is pretty compact. It's pretty cool. All right, so what are my impressions? Well, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not one of these, obviously. This is, I almost would say, a different tool and different need, although it's really not. There's a lot that this can do that this can also do. But this is, you know, it's in a different league. This is not super easy to work with on small, fine matters. Even with a tiny tip, it's a big, clunky tool, so you can't just do fine precision work with it. Whereas with this, you absolutely can. It's a little bit bigger than a pen, but you can easily get into some detail with it. And it's got enough power that I'm very pleased with it. I like the form factor. Quite frankly, if you're into 3D printing, this should absolutely be one of the tools you get. There are kits on Amazon where you can get little tweezers and files and pliers and everything, and those are good. I've got at least one set, maybe 2. But for working intricate detail, this is a lifesaver. This is going to be really great. Again, I worked on just a couple little pieces here in the video, and it did a wonderful job of cleaning these up. Whereas normally I'd be spending a lot of time filing that down with a, you know, kind of a nail type file, and it just wouldn't look as good or be as easy to get into some of these crevices with it. So this, along with that fine tip, it's worth the price of admission. If you got a 3D printer, this should be on your list. Put it on your Christmas list. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.